Hey everybody, welcome to the Friday show, Glory Hunters, my little community project where Nick here teaches me the beautiful game, all my American ignorance, and we got the whole week of football. We do a podcast every Friday and Monday. That means we get the whole weekend, we get everything in, and we cover the entire planet. How you doing, Nick? How's things working out for you?
Pretty good. Got an exciting weekend of football coming up, and some of the games we watched over the week, namely Bayern and Leverkusen, were pretty fun. So this is pretty good.
This in Europe, especially, this is like prime time year. This would be equivalent to like an American playoff season. The weather's getting better. All the games have meaning. All the league games have meaning. All the Europe has meaning. I mean, this is really crunch time. It's the most exciting. And the one thing that's good about ProRel is everybody seems to be playing for something, whether it's keeping from getting relegated, making sure you're staying in a league, or getting that last-ditch effort at Conference or Europa League. So there's plenty of stuff going on. Italy's been decided, but they're still deciding spots as far as I know. There's a big game coming up with Barcelona and Girona this weekend. And we're going to go over pretty much all of it, but I think the thing we should probably start with the most is the game that we checked out the most, and the black magic continues. Bayern Leverkusen 2-0 in a domineering performance over Roma. You mentioned it in the game, but I use better words than I did, and I'll give you a chance to maybe even come up with better ones. They seemed to be playing like underdogs. I really didn't expect that as much. Certainly, Leverkusen was the favorite team, but I didn't think that Roma was so much better than them that the score would be like it was and the gameplay would be like it was. I felt like it was a very chippy Italian style where, they're trying to goat players into stuff. Let's face it, that happens in Italy. Biscuit would agree with me. This is not being a bigot or anything. The Italians like to goat. Ask Zidane Zidane. It's true and it works, right? And I felt like that was happening to Leverkusen. But the problem with playing that way is you're almost giving the other team too much credit, like that we have to do the dark arts of football to win. Did you get that feeling in this game?
Yeah, like we spoke about it before when we previewed this game. I mentioned about how Roma have been in some really good form in Italy, especially since De Rossi took over. They've certainly got a lot of talent in that squad with the likes of Lukaku, Dybala, Tammy Abraham, Pellegrini. So yeah, like their squad isn't that much worse than Leverkusen's, and they've been in good form themselves. So they definitely should have gone into this game looking to potentially upset Leverkusen, but that definitely wasn't the case when we watched it. You're exactly right. It's like they weren't looking to win the game as such by outplaying Leverkusen. They were just looking to, try and rough them up, get Jonathan Tah sent off, which they seemed to try all game and failed to do, rather than just going out there, playing their game and trying to outplay Leverkusen. Yeah, it was like they were scared and sort of like from the off were like, oh, we can't beat this Leverkusen side because of how well they're playing. We're going to have to mess up their game to try and win.
Let's get a red card.
Instead.
Let's draw a penalty, something like that. It seemed like that it was that way from the very beginning, which is a really good sign for Leverkusen. Any chance they come back next game? Leverkusen does have a habit of making things dramatic, to say the least. Or is Leverkusen in the final as far as you're concerned?
Leverkusen are probably in the final for me. He's going to have to take a very different performance from Roma in Germany as well for them to turn this around, let alone beat Leverkusen. I just think it's too tall of an order with how well Leverkusen have played and how poor Roma were in that first game.
I got you. Hey, I got to put my guy in there. I forgot to put my dude. That's very important to put your your little Cosmos guy. And shout out to Mr. Optic, who does our graphics, or comic book-esque graphics are really, really cool. And here's mine. If you're interested, I think we got links in the description if you want to get his work. We commissioned him. We're very happy with his work. That's me and the little Cosmo. And he's going to put a 6 on the shoulder. All right, next thing on the docket. We really didn't pay too much attention to this game, but it's just important to point out that Marseille and Atalanta played to a 1-1 tie. Are you a little bit surprised? I mean, this is a team that beat Atalanta, Liverpool, but Liverpool was kind of on a downturn. They actually started the whole downturn for Liverpool to keep them from winning the Prem. Is are they a sleeping giant that I don't know about? Because I don't know anything about this team, and I know just about as much as Marseille.
Well, Atalanta, they're sort of like over the hill a bit with how good they've been. They were sort of like a mid to low Serie A side, and then Gasparini came along, signed. You had players like Ilicic and Papu Gomez came in, and they sort of became a force in Italy over the past like decade. They've sort of been this successful, challenging for top four side. I wouldn't say sleeping giant. I don't think they have the like finances to do that, and they obviously haven't won anything yet in this period. But I mean,
in the
they
context
did
of
really well to beat
potentially winning
Liverpool.
this thing. I mean, in the context of winning.
Oh,
This
in
thing.
the Europa League,
Yeah,
certainly
yeah.
are in it for the Europa League. I mean, to beat Liverpool is an achievement, even if Liverpool weren't playing as well as they have been. You know, Marseille have shown themselves to be a good side as well. So a draw in France is, I'd say, this is potentially advantage Atalanta because they now go home and all they have to do is win at home. Doesn't matter what the scoreline is. So yeah, I think they're certainly up for it. And one of the interesting things is if Atalanta or Roma somehow pull it back, we could be looking at Serie A getting 6 Champions League
Oh
teams next year
Jesus! Oh man!
because they obviously have their 5 Champions League spots, but then Atalanta and Roma are now, I think they're now too far away from the Champions League spots themselves, so they wouldn't take one of the 5, but they'd obviously earn a Champions League spot by winning the Europa League. So that would be kind of a cool scenario to see 6 teams from one country make the tournament.
Well, let me skip what I was going to do initially and just jump right into it. The Bundesliga has got their 5th spot. That takes place next year, correct? Or
Yeah. That's like next season.
And I guess that would be because Leverkusen won, and I guess the next game we're going to talk about. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, let's skip right ahead. I had them all laid out. I swear to Jesus. So we got Leverkusen, and then and Dortmund, and so that is what gave them their spot. It says champions Bayern Leverkusen now be joined by 4 other teams in the 2024-25 Champions League. Bayern Munich, Stuttgart, Leipzig, Dortmund, and many others highlight next season. So, do I have this correct? Yeah, this is this year. So yeah, they got 5 spots. So that takes place this year.
So so it's 5 spots this year for the next Champions League season. So next season, those 5 will go into it rather than 4.
Yeah, assuming if they cover, and then that bumps up Frankfurt to a Europa League spot instead of a conference spot, which I think that's what they were in prior. So that's a huge announcement. And what do you think of that? Like the teams can, like if an English team does they're going to get more shots to go to Europe than let's say a group of teams from another country that goes well. Do you think that's fair, or you have no issues with it whatsoever?
I guess it's kind of fair. I'm kind of neutral on it. I don't really see the positives or the negatives necessarily for it. I mean, I guess you got the added competition for these sides, right? You want to do well when you get your European spot because that means you're increasing the chances of you having a better chance of making it in the future if you do well. But yeah, other than that, I'm not really sure what the point of it is.
The most quality league have the most opportunities? I mean, but what better way to sort of judge that instead of doing something subjective than to have, all right, this is based on the league's performance in Europe. I mean, that seems to be fair on the surface. But I don't know, something's telling me that I'm missing something. there's an argument out there that I'm not considering. But I guess rules are the rules for now. And on paper, I don't have a problem with it, but I do wonder if there could be one in the future. Fiorentina faced the Club Brugge, picked up a red card. They lost 3-2. Club Brugge, of course, a big club in Belgium, going up against Fiorentina that lost to West Ham in the final this year. I didn't pay too much attention to this game. Do you know anything about it before we go in? Because I'm using this to kind of segue into the reason the English aren't in it.
Well,
or don't have an extra spot. Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't watch the game, but a 3-2 victory sort of goes in line with what we were saying beforehand, where we expected Fiorentina to win this and we, like, as we pointed out, Bruges are a good side, but Fiorentina just have that bit more quality. And a 3-2 win with Bruges losing a player, it does spell for a Fiorentina should go through now because they're ahead, and Bruges are going to have to replace one of their starting players.
Well, it's definitely not
in the second leg.
insurmountable. It's not insurmountable.
Oh,
Because
certainly
it's only
not.
a goal, so it could go any way. And second legs tend to be pretty wild. But that gets into what we were talking before. A little bit of shock or Greek side Olympiacos going up 4-2 over Aston Villa. A real shock. The bookies heavily favored Aston Villa, and I think this would also affect Villa's. I think these other leagues also affect whether how many spots you're going to get, whether it be Europa Conference or Champions League as well. So this is they have quite the hill to climb here. Are they capable of doing it, or like where are you in this game?
Well, they were heavy favourites for a reason. That they've got a lot more quality in their squad. You've got a coach in Emery who knows this competition very well. So, yeah, 2 goals is not a position you want to be in, especially going away from home now. This was the home leg. This was in Birmingham. They now have to go to Greece and overcome the 2-goal deficit, which is definitely going to be a huge task, especially considering Olympiacos won this game. So clearly they've got quality there. But I don't think it's insurmountable. I would still expect Villa to do it, even after this scoreline.
Well, check this out. Ahu El Kihibi. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I'm not trying to be a funny guy. He picked up a hat trick last night. So there's going to be, I guess you're going to have to keep an eye out for their striker. And it looks like from this, he hit him from all outside the box. Oh no, from all in the box. So they were able to penetrate. Okay, I see how it works now. Yeah, they were able to penetrate and get close range shots for this guy. So he's somebody to keep in mind. Also, going to Olympiacos, that is one of the most hopping, wild stadiums to go in all of Europe. Good luck, boys, and stay away from the fireworks. Earlier in this week, of course, we had Bayern Munich versus Real Madrid. Great game to watch. I love when it's going even up into the second leg. I like the fact that it's just kind of a one-game decider. Vinicius Jr. picking up the brace with Sane having a beautiful curler, and of course Harry Kane contributing with the penalty kick. Really good game both sides. I really didn't have much fault for either team. I thought they were very evenly matched. I did think that Bayern had the slightly better performance, even though, like, you see ball possession time right here is pretty much even up with a slight advantage to Bayern on shots, 4 total. Should set up an amazing second leg. I feel like Bayern's going to come through this. I don't know why. I feel like they've got it together now. Do you?
Yeah, I actually agree. I thought watching this, I felt like Munich were the better side on the day. Obviously, it was a close game, as you can see by the scoreline. But yeah, I personally gave the edge to Munich as well. And yeah, I also get that feeling, if they come out and they play as they did in that first game and that second one, I get the feeling they will end up getting the result in Madrid. And I could really see it. Maybe an all-German final if
crazy.
Bayern manage it.
And not only that, a derby final, the Klassiker final, which is the most overrated derby in Europe. every game's a derby when Bayern's in town. And a little bit of surprise victory also. Nicholas Füllkrug with the goal, the one and only ultra striker on the planet, the guy that looks like he belongs in the stands, but he puts it in the net. Füllkrug, 1-0. This is not a happy Mbappe because he's not on the scoreboard. That's really funny. Now, here's the thing about Dortmund. They're a little bit older. Certainly had some experience being in these positions in the past, but this is an older team. I don't think anybody expected them to be there, much less be able to play all the teams they beat as well as Paris Saint-Germain. Are they actually going to be in the final? Did everybody kind of because of the story with Leverkusen? Did everybody kind of look to did they not pay attention to BVB? And are they going to go through? Because to keep a talent like Mbappe off the score sheet is an accomplishment in itself. He always walks away with one win or loss usually. Like it's only 1-0 league. It's still certainly anybody's game, but I'd be very concerned if I was PSG right now.
Oh yeah, certainly. Because Dortmund were the better team as well. It wasn't just a case of they maybe snuck a goal and won the game. Dortmund were the better side on the day, and that's got to really worry if you're Mbappe, because this is his last season in Paris. If he wants to really cement his legacy in France, winning that Champions League with PSG would be this huge accomplishment for his legacy, and like for even like the GOAT conversations, which I'm sure will happen by the time he's retirement age. So it is a worry for PSG because Dortmund were the better side, and
they're not impressive. What is all these teams not being terribly impressive in their own league and still they weren't particularly impressive.
It's a strange one.
Yeah, I know.
And so going into this game, expecting PSG to win, right? PSG on paper are the better team. PSG are winning their league whilst Dortmund are fifth, as we saw earlier. They're fifth in the Bundesliga. You wouldn't have expected it was a surprise for Dortmund to go this fast. You're like, surely, this is the hurdle they fall at, and yet a confident 1-0 win against PSG to go into the second leg, certainly not.
Let me ask you this:
that they go through.
Is this a league quality? This is the league that I pay. Liga is the league I pay attention to the least. I know you like it because it's a good farm for English talent and sending. I even with the Americans, they send Balogun over there. It's good, but this is not a league that has a ton of iconic teams outside of Paris. Is a fifth spot in Germany as good or better than a first spot in Liga? Is it a quality situation? And we can't.
I don't think so.
Can we really judge all these leagues as being like equal? I don't think so. I wouldn't judge Germany against the Prem. The Prem's a superior league, in my opinion. It's certainly the more exciting league. But like, not all leagues are created equal. Even the Big Five leagues. What does the first place win for PSG even mean? Is it even that important compared to the sides? I mean, they haven't got it done having two of the greatest players of all time, plus maybe the greatest young talent we've ever seen since Messi and Ronaldo and Kylian Mbappe. Is Liga that weak?
Maybe. It's a really hard one to tell with the leagues because obviously you can't. It's a really hard way to compare them, isn't it? Really, because you could say, oh yeah, look at how they do in Europe, but obviously Serie A and the Bundesliga have done the best recently, and that's why they've got 5 Champions League spots. But I think everyone can sort of agree that the Premier League is the highest quality league out of the lot. So it's a really hard one to tell, like who's higher than who by what distance, right? I think we sort of diminished the quality of Liga's title because PSG are so dominant in it, the same way people have done it with the Bundesliga because Bayern were winning it so much. So I think it's easy to fall into the trap where you see it as even lower quality than it necessarily is because PSG are so dominant in it, but it's like a Bayern situation over there where they're just so much more they have so much more money. They have so much more talent on the pitch. They buy the good players from around to do it. So I don't know. I think PSG certainly are still on paper a more quality side than the Bundesliga than Dortmund. Sorry, despite the fact the Bundesliga probably is the better quality league at least for right now.
Well, the solution to this problem is start taking Champions League slots away from them. Take Europe spots away from them. Yeah, maybe if you lose enough, you should lose some spots. I don't know. Just look at it that way. Let's flip down to North America. Little bit of a surprise after, actually, in both sides. Club America, they pick up a red card. Pick up a red card, and Pachuca is able to. And I'd like to see where Pachuca is on the table, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they're only 7th on the table. Club America on one, and they head to the conference champ. I wish they would just change. I had no problem when they called it Champions League, but now it's called Champions Cup again. Pachuca head into the final. Certainly a tall order, but an absolutely, and this is what I'm more interested in, a shocking victory by Columbus Crew after really a first half that was invisible. I got to watch the sucker live. Monterrey was dominating. It looked like a much better team. They were moving the ball better. Everything was going right until a mistake by Monterrey's goalie, which was picked off by Rossi, and as you can see in the 49th minute. But excuse me, Morris. I apologize. Morris picked it off on the 45th +4, and he read, and you can see he read the goalie. He was doing a short roll to his center back and picked it off and put it in, and then it was just a completely different game in the half. I mean, it was just like it was utter domination, and Columbus finishes with a 5-2 aggregate, a huge upset. And I think with this going into the final, and they'll be playing Pachuca, I'm thinking Columbus has just replaced LAFC as the face of the league. Now they have the championship. They're certainly the most dangerous team. They don't necessarily win the league. Of course, that's not as important as it is in MLS as it would be in like European leagues. But, you know, Columbus wins. They have titles. They have trophies. And to get staring down the barrel of a Champions League trophy, which this is not a miracle walk. This is not Saarbrücken going deep. This team could very well win this soccer. And that means in the last 3 years, we'll have 2 American teams, the only 2 that's ever won the Continental title. It's got to be huge for North American soccer. There's a huge change going on there, I think. Even if you want to like culturally check this out, this is something I wouldn't have expected. Of course, Columbus, there was an attempt to move the team, and there was a huge rebellion inside Columbus to move the Crew to Austin. That particular owner got chased out, but he was given an expansion team in Austin, which looks semi-successful so far. But now we're seeing stuff like this in American mainstream
Celebrate the
news.
big win as we reflect on another big achievement for the Crew. We want to check in on our old owner, Anthony Precourt, who wanted to move our beloved black and gold to Austin. He now owns a team there.
And actually, we just got some video into the newsroom showing their trophy case. And wow, would you look at that?
We are throwing some
Still nothing in it.
What is going on in America? I haven't lived there in a long time. To hear something like beloved, like, look, Crew were always a really well-supported team. They had the first Soccer Pacific Stadium. But our beloved black and gold, I guarantee you most Crew hands don't even know they're in it. They just found out yesterday that they're going to a final, and it's actually in a real sense a more valuable trophy than the MLS title that they won against LAFC last year. This is a much bigger accomplishment. So I don't know. Is this just me? And you can tell me. Am I just like look at this rose-tinted glasses, or do you think there's like a cultural change going on in the States? And don't judge it by your experience hanging around me, but just by what you've been seeing over the last year, is there something happening? And is this game becoming mainstream?
Well, I don't know too much about that because obviously not being an American myself, but certainly from what I've seen, you know, with the arrival of Messi, there definitely has been a lot more interest going into it. You're seeing loads more celebrities going there.
Sure.
You're seeing celebrities buying football teams all over the place.
Sure.
You know, you look at a lot of these MLS sides, they've got like investment from people like I know Matthew McConaughey's involved with Austin FC.
Sure.
You have that one from Step Brothers, New York. LAFC, sorry, yeah. So and like plenty of times I'm looking at an MLS side just like reading up about them. They've got like, I don't know, like Steve Nash involved with like the Whitecaps or whatever and stuff like that. So there does seem to be a lot more interest coming into it. And over here you're seeing more celebrities, like American celebrities, invest in clubs over here as well. Like Michael B. Jordan's now a big investor at Bournemouth in the Premier League. So, and it does seem like with Wrexham and Messi, there does seem to be more of a shift towards like watching football, getting involved in football. It's like you're sort of coming into fashion a bit more.
Yeah,
from
it
what
is.
I've
It's
seen.
like it is, and I'm gonna. I've said this before. You've heard me say it before, but how much is iShowSpeed's influence make? I mean, if anybody's making it cool, like being a YouTube influencer is the thing. It's the thing that the kids say they want to be the most, and he just got a Ronaldo highlight video and got hooked hard. He's like at every big game that you could ever hope to get a ticket to around the planet. And he plays in absolutely every celebrity match that he possibly, even if it's not that big, he worms his way on the field. Yeah, I do wonder if there's a change. And I also want to point out that not necessarily MLS, but soccer as a whole has surpassed, as far as a money generator in the United States, the National Hockey League, which is, the thing about the National Hockey League, we're talking, Boston, Michigan, Minnesota, New York. It's kind of a localized part of the United States where it's super popular. The league is still filled with mostly Canadians. It is kind of local, but this is, for soccer to even past, it's not MLS, so to speak, but I don't think it's hurting. Plus the Wrexham story. Yeah, I think there's a weird change. I feel like if I went back home now, there'd be a lot more people. Like, I was surprised there was a handful full of people that knew what promotion relegation was around the time I went home. Last time I went home, Beckham had just went to LA Galaxy. That was one of the last two times I went home. And Beckham was a part of LA Galaxy, and people did know what Pro-Well were, like one or two, not a lot. And I feel like now they all know what it is. So, yeah, I think there's something going on there. I don't know if it's good. I know my dad would be upset. That's for the Euros. It's not for us. We play baseball. But which was the attitude of a lot of people when Pele came to the Cosmos in the mid-'70s. Like, they're going to take our games away. No, but they might bring you a new one. And it's pretty, right now, it is pretty trendy. It's pretty cool. We mentioned it. Mom and dad got in a fight. Mohamed Salah is completely resolved. No problem with us. If we didn't know each other that long, I'm not sure how we deal with it. But respect. Oh, wow. Okay. But respect each other, so there's really no problem. We're absolutely fine with it. Let's move on. I don't really speculate how true that is. I think it might have been the frustration of the moment. Certainly, Jurgen Klopp is moving on. I did see. Maybe I should check. Maybe I actually should check this out. Okay. Oh yeah, here it is. Graham Souness. Do you know who he is?
Graham Souness.
Graham Souness on Mohamed Salah. Salah is the most selfish player I've ever witnessed. A little surprised to hear this. When Sadio Mane was there, they fall out all the time. When the going gets tough and another player puts in on him, Salah will disappear from the game. Is that a fair criticism?
I would agree so.
Ooh. Hey, guy, where was? I mean, he did just win a Champions League not all that long ago. Did he disappear then?
I don't believe he scored in that final.
What about the build-up?
I would have to go back over it. But there has certainly been plenty of times that I've thought Salah's gone missing in big games. Like Salah's not stepped up so much. I always thought, like, to me, Mane was always the more clutch of the two of them for Liverpool. Not to say that Salah isn't clutch at all. He certainly had his big moments in big games. Yeah. Like, when I say that, I don't mean like every single game. He certainly had huge moments, but there have also been some times where I've thought, where the hell's Salah been this game? Or like, there's a bit of a pattern where sometimes he does vanish a bit. I don't know about necessarily he's the most selfish player or anything like that, though.
So what is Graham Souness' relationship to Salah? Where he would have this kind of information? I guess he
Souness is like a Liverpool legend.
Oh, okay.
He was like captain in the 80s, I believe. I want to say 80s when they won some trophies. Souness was there.
I think he's only like a year or two older than me, so it's probably 90s. I'm thinking. I don't know. I thought I checked his age before. It's all right. Doesn't really matter. I'll cut that anyway. So he's So he's just a Liverpool legend that doesn't like him. Is this like sort of a Roy Keane situation where he's kind of shitting on the new players?
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's a case of he just wants to say something to get noticed. Who knows? Souness has always been known to be one who's been, a very controversial figure with some of the things he says. He was very, very critical of Pogba all the time. So, yeah, maybe, I don't know how much of it he puts on for the cameras or like puts on for the attention. But, yeah, maybe he does genuinely see something there with Salah where he does think he's selfish and kicks off a bit more. I don't know too much about that.
Fair enough. Flipping to Thomas Tuchel, rumors about him becoming the manager of Man United. I don't know why he'd want that job. What do you think about this? Anything to this rumor, or is it even a good fit? Why would anybody want to go United or Bayern right now is beyond me. Well, I guess if Bayern won the stupid thing, and then we have a different conversation whether we should stay or not. What do you think of that, this rumor? Is this just Transfer News Live just putting stuff out there for content, or is there something to this?
Well, the source is usually a pretty good one for Bayern Munich news. Christian Falk, I believe his name is. So there probably is some truth to it where he's interested in the Manchester United job. I don't know if winning the Champions League and Bayern asking him to stay would change that. I'm not sure. But, I don't know why the hell anyone would want that United job, but they all seem to keep coming back for it. Probably because it is one of the biggest names in the world.
For sure.
They do spend a fair amount in the transfer window, so maybe you're thinking, all right, those other managers have failed, but me, I'm going to be the one to succeed. You back yourself for it.
Happy birthday. He's now old enough to drink in the United States. Congratulations, Florian WIRTZ. He popped one yesterday on his way. WIRTZ has gone through an ACL injury in 2022. Reacted by winning the Bundesliga title this year and fighting for 2 more titles and potentially a 4th with Germany if things go well for them in the Euros, which are only about a month away. We're getting real close to that. Happy birthday, Florian WIRTZ. Very happy to add him to my collection, and all the best to him. He's been really just an exciting story this year. Really made it when. I was starting to think, like, because 2022 and 23, they had so many great stories and interesting storylines, and I was like, this year was a little thin. But after when the Leverkusen was unbeaten and he was in the form that he's in, that's really made this. To me, Leverkusen is the story of Europe this year, football this year, for sure. There's just no doubt about it for me. So happy birthday, Florian. Let's check this out. This is David Moyes. Apparently he got a little irritated.
And obviously West Ham have achieved so much over the last few seasons and in your time in charge as well, including that wonderful European trophy last season. Do you still have the hunger now to take the club forward going into next season?
Absolutely. Football hunger. I'm nearly a bit embarrassed you asked me that question. For you. Because I'm a football nut. Love my football. Go to games, watch games. Love it. Really do. So yeah, I've got a great hunger for football.
What's that about? That line of questioning for Mr. Moyes, in your opinion?
I can only assume it's to do with all the rumours of him leaving West Ham in the summer. So maybe they're maybe it's a case where, like, all the rumours with Ten Hag, where it's like he seems to have just accepted that he's going to go in the summer, so he doesn't really care anymore. Maybe the journalist thinks the same mentality's there with Moyes, that, oh, well, I'm leaving at the end of the season, who cares? But, yeah, I don't know. He's a strange one to ask a manager, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you not like football anymore, Mr. Manager? Are you interested in other things? I'm embarrassed for you. Oh, God loves the Scottish. Robert Lewandowski confirms no MLS, guys. Sorry, that was a big rumor. Barcelona staying, which is actually we talked about it on Monday. This is kind of a problem for Barca. They were hoping to free up his very expensive contract. A little bit of a surprise considering his age. You think now's the time to get the Saudi money. Now's the time to go to MLS. Now's the time. But no, I guess he wants to play in the top flight, and I got to be honest with you, nobody's talking about it. That Barca PSG game was at worst, something was fishy. At best, it was an incompetent referee that put them out of that game because it was a circus, quite possibly with the exception of the red card, all around, up into what looked like the referee intimidating Ter Stegen. I thought Ter Stegen, he's a goalie for Barca, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he was just the way he was in his face before taking a penalty, and telling him to stay on his line when he was just standing on it. It was bizarre. And it's nobody at ESPN said anything. It's just like nothing happened. So normally, again, this would be a great thing for any team to hear, and it's not because they free things up. Do you have anything more to comment on this that we didn't cover earlier?
It's a positive thing in the sense that he's a very talented player. Sure, he's getting on in age, but to have someone of Lewandowski's quality, he's still one of the best strikers in the world.
Sure.
So it's not the worst thing to be stuck with. And I'm sure they'll be able to find other players that they can move on, which aren't as good as Lewandowski or don't offer as much as Lewandowski, that they can try and move for a transfer fee, get them off the books, and find another way to free up the funds rather than relying on him leaving.
His quote was, "It's the biggest club in the world, and I'm proud to be a part of it," told Mundo Deporto. I never believe when they say stuff like that. I think this is a business, and I understand they want to make the most money they can, or they want to put themselves in the best position. Your quality is fleeting. Your time in the league is fleeting at all times. Is there any other reason that you might think of why he'd want to stay other than a competitive reason? Is there a financial reason? Is it just doesn't want to move his family? Certainly he could probably get one more big check. And if he has a soft year next year, his options are Saudi and MLS probably to get a good size check. But can you speculate on any other alternative reason he might be doing this?
It's lovely weather in Barcelona. It's a lovely place to live.
No. It's a great place.
Maybe he's just really comfortable. He's like, this is chill, getting loads of money.
It's a great place, man. I don't blame. Spain's awesome. All right. Yeah, fair enough. Raheem Sterling set to snub transfer offers this summer as he is keen to prove his worth at Chelsea. I like, not a huge Chelsea fan, but I do like Raheem Sterling, another guy that's getting on in age. Why would he want to stay at Chelsea, especially at this stage? And they're not going to win the league next year. I don't think any major transfer could really affect things all that much. So what do you think?
Well, my best guess is two different things in the sense that, Chelsea aren't in the best position, but they're still one of the rich seven. You're always going to expect Chelsea to rise back up from where they have been.
Sure, they got the finances for sure. They have a better chance.
Yeah, exactly.
They have a better chance of rising up than Leverkusen has of maintaining this. I'll tell you that.
Right, sure.
And forget losses. They're going to lose a game by next year. It's going to happen. But will they be able to maintain all those players and keep them all there? Chelsea is a team that could do something like that, and other teams aren't. So I can't imagine coming back. So is this just him saying, I want to play at the top level, I still think we have a chance? Or is, I don't know. It's got to be difficult for these guys to, sort of make that final move to smaller clubs. Still stay certainly competitive. I mean, if you move to an Ajax, you still have a lot to do. You still have big games to play in. You still have derbies. But is it just like leaving the Prem, leaving is that kind of too much for these guys' ego to handle? Or does he just, maybe I'm being too cynical and he loves the team and he wants to work for it?
I mean, maybe he loves the team, wants to work for it, but yeah, I think it's more the case of, I think he still wants to play at the top level, which is obviously the Premier League and at a big club like Chelsea. And also, he's probably thinking with a place in the England squad for upcoming tournaments, he probably thinks he has a better chance. If he's playing well for Chelsea, that's a much better argument to get picked for the England squad than it is if you go to like Ajax and you're playing well in the Eredivisie, for example.
Sure.
And then also, like we spoke about prior to this, the clubs most likely to come in for him are going to be Saudi or somewhere like that. I would be very surprised if we see another top club from around Europe come in for him. So if he was to leave, it's sort of like an acceptance that his career at the top is over and maybe he's just not ready to
let
accept that yet.
I guess a similar situation with him and Lewandowski. Of course, Robbie still there's no Lewandowski, but yeah. Well, I almost like hearing that because then it's not just about money. It is about winning. It is about playing at the highest level possible, and that couldn't be easy for anybody to just let go. I like Raheem. I think he's a quality player, and I just don't think he's got a lot of guys around him. Best of luck to him. Angel Di Marina will not return to Rosario to play next season after receiving death threats from drug traffickers. He means back home in Argentina, right?
Yeah, Rosario's in Argentina.
Yeah, that's where. Yeah, he's not staying home. It's not in Europe. Well, this has been a problem for. I even heard a rumor about Messi with the drug traffickers inside Argentina and also or South America. I remember Russian gangsters leaning on hockey players to get pieces because their whole family's over there. Is this a common problem in South America for South American players from drug gangs and what have you, or is this unique to Di Maria?
I've not really heard of it before, but it is the kind of thing that I wouldn't be too surprised if it happens more than we know about. Like we saw it like last year. You had Luis Diaz's father kidnapped in Colombia. We've had stories before of players being attacked and things like that in South America. So I really wouldn't put it past it that more often we see this where players are threatened because maybe they don't want Di Maria back at Rosario because that means it threatens the team they like. Who knows?
It could be something. It certainly does. You still got a lot of quality there.
Yeah, so, and, South America can be a very dangerous place for these things. So, yeah, maybe it's one of those things that goes under the radar a bit and then it's sort of been highlighted more because Di Maria is this bigger name than the usual people who maybe put up with it.
Big story out of Germany, a little bit of surprise, too. Ralf Rangnick turns down Bayern. The Nagelsmann curse seems to continue. I'm a little surprised by this because you said this would be a huge step up for him after his career kind of floundered a little bit, but people actually giving him a second look because he had so much influence on the game because he being a student from Wolfgang Frank. This was huge news over here in Germany. Huge news. People were, even my wife heard about it, and she's like, "Yeah, Rangnick told him to go screw." His quote is, "I'm an Austrian team coach in all my heart. This is not a rejection of Bayern, but rather a decision for my team and our common goals," says Rangnick. That sounds like horseshit. Why do you think he told him to go screw? Why is Ralph not going to the biggest team you can get in Central Europe? Any insight?
Maybe he saw the cost of face paint and he thought, joining the circus might be a bit too expensive for him.
Yeah, but, go ahead.
My guess is Bayern's a bit of a shit show as it is, so maybe there was questions for him anyway. And then we spoke about it before about the fan protests where they were kicking up a fuss saying they didn't want him, they wanted Tuchel to stay. So maybe he saw that the fans weren't going to be on his side from day one, and Bayern's a bit of a mess, and he thought, you know what, it's not worth it. It's going to hurt my reputation more than anything if I join in it.
Well, how about that? How about the way the way they turned on Tuchel, the fans turned on Tuchel, and the Bayern threw Tuchel to the Wolves just to get them off their back, and then seeing what happens with Nagelsmann and walking into this circus act, which Bayern has become in the past year. The phrase FC Hollywood is uttered on a regular basis here in Germany, and he just said, screw this. I don't think people realize just how much damage Oliver Kahn did to this team. This is big damage, and slowly but surely, you can look at, this is a kind of a weird metric, but Bayern's been winning the league the last couple of years by less and less points each season. This year they've been dethroned. Why go in there now? Why now? Certainly they're going to have a German-speaking coach. I can't imagine Bayern putting anybody else in there. Rangnick's an Austrian. That would fit in perfectly. Yeah, I wonder if we could be looking back if Bayern doesn't win the league in a couple years, or maybe they go back to back. Maybe there's a new champion next year. I think it'll all kind of come down to, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Oliver Kahn making a terrible decision last year before the Man City Bayern, was it semifinal, if I'm not mistaken? Semifinal or quarterfinal?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was semifinal.
One of the two.
Yeah, one or two. So, wow. Anything else to add?
Other than, yeah, I completely agree. It does seem to be Kahn's decision to sack Nagelsmann has been like, you know, the straw that broke the camel's back. It's all been absolutely tumbling down ever since.
Last week, I love doing the spicy fixtures. They put it out a little earlier today, so we got to cover it. I love Football One, and I love this particular article, and I read it every week, and I recommend it. I'm not being paid or anything. We don't get enough hits to get paid, but I love this article. I'll skip right over the women's football and get to something interesting. Union versus Bochum. This has more to do with the relegation part of the German league, so they're not everything's settled. From what I understand, these two teams right here, whoever wins is pretty much set up to stay in the league. So that might be an interesting match, but it only gets 2 for a spicy. Arsenal Bournemouth. Why is this an important game? Is this a relegation situation for Bournemouth?
No, Bournemouth have been in really good form, actually, ever since, like, the first 10 games of the season or so. They're, like, on form. They're, like, 4th in the league ever since. But the main thing is, obviously, the title race. Arsenal are in a position where, essentially, they need to win every single game for the rest of the season. And so every game for them is going to be big from now until the end of the season. And because of how good Bournemouth have been, like,
it's going to be
for a while
match.
Now.
This is good.
This is like a big one, which could see Arsenal potentially slip up and lose the title.
And it's looking, they're also, depending on if Villa plays, they're looking at a shot at Champions League, Bournemouth. So, yeah, I guess this really adds up. Number 3 on the spicy list. Girona Barcelona, 4. Why is this an important game, do you think?
I'm not 100% sure, because I thought both sides were already guaranteed top 4 for the Champions League. I know they're both right up there. I think it's 2nd versus 3rd place, I believe. So maybe they just see it as a huge game for that, where is the 2 best teams under Real Madrid going at it.
There will be 3 sets of fans probably watching the Girona this weekend. The Catalan side will take on their neighbors, Barcelona, that dropped points leading into the Real Madrid. A win against, I can't say that, Cadiz, I don't do the Spanish names well, Cadiz. The win against Cadiz this weekend, and Carlo, a salty side, go 12 clear, meaning even a draw for Barca leaves them without the possibility of catching the capital club. That's pretty much over with. Last time Girona faced Barcelona was a 4-1. This is not a spicy game to me. Yeah, I don't know.
It could be a high quality game, but I don't know if I don't think the stakes are necessarily there, because it does feel like Real Madrid have all but sealed the title.
Sealed the deal, and probably the biggest stuff is a multitude of matches. This is the last day at the championship, the greatest league in the world that most people say. Ipswich Town versus Huddersfield Town, Leeds United versus Southampton, Plymouth Argyle? Help me.
Plymouth Argyle.
Plymouth Argyle versus Health City. Do you have any this? Yeah, we got, you know, if you got your DAZN in Germany, turn it on at 1:30, because it's about to go on. Who do you see coming out of this in this situation here?
Well, Ipswich need at least the draw against Huddersfield Town, so they're definitely the best position, and Huddersfield are all the way down in the relegation spots. They're basically down. I'm not sure if they're fully confirmed relegated, but they're pretty much down. But yeah, so a point means Ipswich go up to the Premier League for the first time in like 20 years.
Wow.
But if they lose to Huddersfield and Leeds win, they'll snatch that automatic spot and go up. And then I believe Hull City's there as well, because Hull are on the verge of playoffs, I believe, or they're just in their playoff spot. So I think, the whole game's whether or not they make playoffs, and the Leeds and the Ipswich games is all down to that automatic playoff spot. Who's going through to the Premier League guaranteed, and who's going to have to go into the playoffs and fight their way to the Prem.
You guys need whip around games. Like everybody's got them except the Prem, and I don't think Championship has it either. You guys need whip around. This is the perfect time to get a whip around and bounce it to these 3 games. It's really something the Prem's got to think about, especially with all these teams playing at the same time. They do it in MLS. They do it pretty much everywhere throughout the world. This would be awesome if we get something like that, but I haven't seen anything like that for the Prem, much less the Championship. So, hold on to your hat. Last year was amazing with the promotion. When they actually got in the playoffs with the promotion of Luton. Luton got promoted. They're still not out of it yet either. They got a big game coming up, I think tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Luton. So hold on to your hat. Let me check that out real quick. I think Luton's got a big game. We're just seconds away. St. Pauli and when this was recorded, St. Pauli and Hamburg just kicked off. That's a big rivalry. Luton plays Everton at 9 p.m. That'd be 8 p.m. UK. Hopefully you'll be seeing this before then. Let's get a table here. Luton, Everton. Everton looks pretty much safe. But Luton would definitely need a victory. So we'll add a little spicy game here. I think a lot of people around the world are rooting for Luton with their YouTube videos last year to see if they stay in the league. They can jump 2 points over Nottingham Forest regarding provided a loss. Wait a minute. Is Nottingham, could they still be deducted points this year, or would that be next year?
I think they've already had their points deducted off of their total already. So
there's not So that's not a threat. They can't just come in and clip them right now if some news.
I don't think so. I think they've already gone through with that whole process and have already minus the points. So what you see now is their actual point totals without any deductions, pending.
Well, thank God for that really great VAR manager, and he gave Luton a chance. And good news,
he did it for his club.
He'll be in the Euros. Good news for all of us. I think that's it. I think that's the week in football covered all up. And you got a big game with Braintree on Monday. How you feeling about it?
Nervous.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you're more nervous about that than you would be at a Chelsea Champions League, you think?
Yeah, probably. I think it helps that I'm going to be there. So, I'm doing all the travel, paid all the money to go there. So there's a lot more, the stakes feel higher for that.
Oh, boy. Now we got to, I was going to do Red Bull, but I think I'll just talk about Vehen. We got a big game coming up on Sunday. This is where we put ourselves in a position where things got to go our way. Where is it? That's tomorrow. Let's go Sunday. Here, I'll see if I can put it up here on the screen. Van Wiesbaden. I will be also at the game versus Holstein Kiel. Unfortunately, Holstein Kiel is in second place, and they are in a battle for the title with St. Pauli, which will be our final home game. 1 point behind Kaiserslautern, 1 point ahead of Rostock. We basically have to win, and it'd be great if both those teams lost or drew. And we got a big thing cut out for us. This is not looking good. Very grim here in Wiesbaden. Actually, let me check. I did see something. Looks like New York Red Bulls are in Miami taking on Messi and the boys. And this is actually an important matchup because these are two top table teams, two top in the Eastern Conference. So this might be another game you want to keep in mind if you're in North America. Get to see Lionel Messi and Suarez and Busquets and the crew. And you also could, here's a guy to look out for. This is somebody we wouldn't normally mention. And I'm hearing rumors about Rangers. Lewis Morgan of Scotland, absolutely tearing up the league. 7 goals already. in 8 starts. Rumors that Rangers are looking at him over the summer. So maybe he can come back home to Scotland if he sees fit. But right now, it's looking. Let's check out all the tables. Red Bulls are now in 3rd place, but there's only a point between them and FC Cincinnati. Inter Miami keeps on finding a way to win. 3 draws in a row for Red Bull have kind of hurt them after a really great start. Morgan scoring in most of them, and in the big thing over Roma, they have dropped down to 7th for the Supporter Shield competition. But I mean, this is still very early in the season. It's still wide open, and then you got the Messi story. So yeah, I'd say that's a big match. That's it. That's all we got for you. We'll be streaming games in here. We even got Leach streaming games. I'd probably be streaming a game right now, but I got to go edit this podcast. So join our community. We're looking for people to make rant videos. I made my first one. Check it out. I'll even put it in on the. I'll even put the rant video about Vehen with the closing credits here, or you can check it out. And if that's some kind of video that you want to make for your team, super biased, super energetic. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for you to be even-handed. I'm rooting for you to support your club. And if that's something you're interested in, please contact, join the Discord, get to know us. We're always in there. So I'll see you around, and take care. Good night.